Hey, good afternoon. This is Wednesday night recap, as you know, and kind of bittersweet as we're coming up on our last session. But it's not sad because we've learned over the last several weeks of how happiness happens in our lives. And, if you've been with us through the study, we looked at bearing with one another, kind of dealing with one another. We looked at serving one another. We looked at bearing one another's burdens, and all of those are challenging,
It kind of made me laugh, like bearing with another. You ever said, "Man, that person's a bear"? It actually kind of fits.
Putting up with people, it's tough, and we're not, we're not the easiest to get along with either. We get along well,
yeah, but hey, that's just us.
It is just us. But last night, I think, as he kind of stated, this was taking it up a notch, and that is to forgive one another. Have you ever not been ready to forgive somebody when they've done something? You want them to experience a little bit of what they put you through, and they ask for forgiveness, and we're going to withhold. And the more we talked about it last night, it really was that holding on to that bitterness, that anger, that hurt, it's only affecting us. Once somebody's asked for forgiveness, and whether we meant it or not, and we said, "Okay, I forgive you," they're free and clear. They're living their life feeling uninhibited. Yeah. They're not concerned, and here we're holding on to it, and it's hurting us. I think he used the phrase, we allow it to suck the life out of us, and absolutely, our joy and our happiness, and you know what it's like maybe to not be forgiven by somebody you've asked, and they're withholding, and it's not a good place to be in.
I was thinking about it when we were in the study last night. I literally cannot think of a time that somebody has offended me and then came to me and asked for forgiveness. Like, it hasn't happened very often.
Really? Wow.
It hasn't happened very often. And so if I wait until somebody else makes it right with me, it's typically, at least for me, it's never going to happen. Maybe because I'm always wrong. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. But if you wait for other people to start the whole process of forgiveness, and I think for some people, their hesitancy about not about forgiving somebody, but their hesitancy to think they're actually walking in forgiveness is they think, well, forgiveness equals forgetting. So when I literally can't remember it anymore, then I really have forgiven them. And that's not accurate. How are you going to forget your life? There are things we forget in life. Yeah. But you don't necessarily just forget an offense, but you can decide and say, listen, I'm going to live with the consequences of how your action, what you said, what you did made me feel, and I'm going to choose to give that to God and not hold it against you anymore. Yeah. And forgiveness, that's really what it's about.
We even talked about, it's a dangerous place to be in when you've had unforgiveness in your heart towards somebody, but you've put it so far behind you, you don't even think about it anymore, and it's never been dealt with. And I don't pretend to know everybody's circumstances. And like you said, he even said in the video last night, forgiving somebody sometimes feels like you're letting them off easy. But it also said that forgiveness, you're not condoning the action. You're not saying it was okay to do. No. You're not, necessarily even, maybe reconciliation isn't something that's going to happen. But you need to decide to do it for yourself. Yeah. I used to, have the attitude that they didn't ask for my forgiveness. How can I forgive them? Yeah. You may never have that opportunity with somebody that has offended you, but you need to decide for yourself and to move on and to have joy in your life and happiness, that you're going to forgive that person and change your attitude. That was something he said last night. You're changing your attitude towards a situation or a person. Yeah. And really, our verse last night left us with no excuse. Nope. It's Ephesians 4:32. It says, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you." And you begin to realize, we don't have excuse.
We don't.
And it's inconvenient. It's inconvenient to recognize that.
Scratch that out of the Bible.
We'll stop at a certain point and not read that part.
Yeah.
But what Christ has done, God has forgiven us, even when, he talked about the 12 disciples, and Jesus washed each one of their feet in spite of all that they had done, all that he knew they were going to do, even Judas.
Even Judas, that's right.
We also watched a powerful video, I thought, last night, a little clip of a man who was forgiving a killer of his brother. It was a tragic mistake, but she's going to prison for killing his brother, and he offered her forgiveness. He told her he loved her. He said that his brother would have wanted her to know Christ's love.
Wanted the best for her.
Yeah, it just unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to be compassionate towards one another. All of the things we talked about, serving one another, all of these things are going to bring us joy.
Yeah.
It's when we do the opposite of them that we just set ourselves up.
And that's really, this whole series is interesting because you think the title, what's
How
the title?
Happiness Happens.
How Happiness Happens. You're like, oh, it's so soft, fluffy Christianity. But the reality is, it's saying if you want to really be happy, don't look in yourself. If you want to be happy, serve. If you want to be happy, bear one another's burdens. Do for others. Forgive. That is anything but soft.
I think Pastor had talked about early on in the session of a woman who just was depressed, and it wasn't until she came and he took a chance on inviting her to help serve and to help, and that lifted her out of that depression. And we talked about kind of what unforgiveness, what does that do to us, and what anger, resentment, bitterness, no peace. That's what these things do when we harbor them and we hold them. But we need to release it and be accepting of others, just as Christ was accepting of us. Yeah. So,
Pastor Brandon, a great series. Everybody who attended, I know, enjoyed it, and we're looking forward to the next one. The next series will begin Wednesday, September 1st. Right. That's coming up, and so we're excited about that. And we appreciate you guys viewing this time, Wednesday Night Recap. And again, if you want to watch it, watch the Wednesday Night Recap. That's great. We'd love you to be on here. But you know what's better? Being there on Wednesday night. And we'd love to have you out. You would benefit
now,
from it.
Now, the next 2 weeks, we will not be meeting. There's some other ministry awards going on for girls' ministries and Royal Rangers. So
the 18th and the 25th. That's right.
So we're giving them their time and not compromising parents having to be choosing over one or the other. So September 1st, we will be back with a brand new series.
That's right. Hey, God bless you guys. Have a great week.